So in this segment, we're going to be talking about lorries stuck at checkpoints for 4 days due to terrible new Brexit red tape. And this was, again, self-imposed by the UK. Logistics firms told by HMRC it is too busy to deal with trucks stuck in customs controls. HMRC, who don't have the staff to deal with rich people dodging taxes, does not have enough staff to deal with import checks, which is going to cause huge knock-on effects as we face further food shortages in the UK, which will cause prices to go up and inflation will rise again, without wages going up, which is fun. So, some lorries bringing goods from the EU to the UK have been stuck at the border for 4 days as logistics bosses blame disruption on terrible new Brexit red tape. Truck drivers have reported queuing up for 8 days. For 8 days. Oh God, could you imagine? Oh, that's scary, isn't it? For 8 hours, trying to get through customs controls at the French port of Calais, causing delays in deliveries as firms struggle with new rules that came into force at the start of January. 8 hours in a quiet period. Imagine what it's going to be like when we hit sort of March, April. John Swallow, who runs the logistics company Jordan Freight, told The Independent that he has 2 trucks containing automobile parts stuck at customs controls at Felixstowe for the past 4 days despite getting over the border into the UK, because Felixstowe has like an inland border facility. You've got to think here, imagine, right? He was trying to import agri-foods. 4 days they would be out, and they would be, they wouldn't be fit for consumption if it's fresh food. Even chilled food would struggle for 4 days, being stuck in transit. The driver was able to leave the port, but the goods have been stuck there. So the driver's gone. Because he would have lost money. He would have lost a lot of money on this job. So he's been stuck there. So they let him go. Maybe he took the actual front bit of the lorry, and the trailer's stuck there, or they've just offloaded the goods. Who knows? He says, "We just don't know what the problem is. It's crazy," said Mr. Swallow. "We've been told by HMRC that they're just too busy to deal with it." They've had HMRC, the government, right, have had an extra year to train up enough people at HMRC to deal with it. They still haven't done so. So what makes anyone think they're going to, HMRC aren't going to continue to struggle as trade starts building up in the next few weeks and months? This is absolutely bizarre. These delays are very frustrating and costly for the companies, especially if you rely on just-in-time manufacturing. Say if you're relying on car doors to come in at a certain time, they ain't coming in. Customs experts said problems were partly down to the government's new IT system, which the government barely implemented in time. People didn't have time to mess around with it, to understand how the system works, which means all imports from the EU must be processed using the Goods Vehicle Motor Movement Service, GVMS, managed by HMRC, who are struggling. Maybe they didn't think they would be as busy now because the other IT system would be operational, or the IT system would be properly operational. Many drivers have been unable to get their reference codes accepted, which again is an IT problem. We've talked about that previously, and how sort of firms that deal with this stuff have said it's not our fault, it's the government's fault, it's the IT system's fault. But firms are also struggling with complex new customs declarations and rules of origins forms which have been required to complete on goods imported from the EU since the 1st of January. Rules of origins are very confusing because you've got to list where the individual parts come from. Some might come from China, some might come from, Japan or America, specialist places, Germany, for example. Huge problems here. Steve Koch, director of customs consultancy firm The Customs House, I think that's someone we've cited before, said one of the clients reported that 20 of their lorries containing food products bound for the UK were stuck in Calais and Rotterdam for 48 hours at the end of last week because of the red tape. And 48 hours for food, especially if it's fresh food, like I said, is a long time. That's going to diminish the shelf life significantly, potentially more than the 2 days they were stuck there, depending on the condition of, the lorry or the storage unit. It's a bit of a pickle at the moment. It's not just the IT system, he told The Independent. Not everyone knows exactly what they need for customs declarations and other paperwork. Do you remember when the government said get ready for Brexit, but never said how to get ready? That's this. That is the combination of that kind of motto. No one knows what they're doing. One British driver posted on Twitter about being forced to wait at Calais for over 8 hours for an effing barcode, and described the queues described the queues at the port since the 1st of January. It's mental. That's a really English thing to say, crazy, mental. Another haulage driver who did not wish to be named told The Independent he had waited in a queue at Calais for over 4 hours, for around 4 hours at the end of last week, causing him to have to push back another delivery for the following day. And that's another, factory or shop that would have relied on him to get goods at a certain time, which he hasn't been able to do so, which is unfortunate once again. It's so frustrating. The inland border park at Calais was full of trucks stuck in checks, because these are checks which couldn't be done at the border, so they had to be moved inland. I'm seeing 20% to 25% of trucks sent there for extra checks because of incorrect paperwork. Again, this could be the fault of the exporter or the fault of the IT systems. We don't know. This is a quiet period and the queues are massive, so I'm expecting a lot of delays when things get busier in February. Let's not forget here that these trucks, the longer they're stuck in these facilities, they're not moving, they're losing money. So that means when these lorry drivers are asked and these haulage companies are asked to do jobs to the UK, they're either going to say, pay me a king's ransom, or they're going to say no, which is going to cause further problems for the UK, especially after the end of cabotage. Big Michael, who runs the Quick Declare, a business advising importers and exporters, said clients have to spend a whole day emailing back and forth with HMRC about lorries waiting at ports. And all HMRC do is if you call them, they're like, okay, we're going to log it and we'll come back to you at some point. It's like, dude, I'm stuck in my lorry. Do something. And they're like, sorry, bro, we can't really help you here. Embarrassing. Shambles. There are a lot of issues that GVMS is not fully ready yet. Like, you've had years. Guys, you've had years to sort this out. What have you been doing? Having a booze up in the gardens? Lots of importers are getting delayed. At some point, he said, there will be shortages from time to time, rolling shortages. The situation needs to be sorted. And the simple fact is, lorry drivers will just refuse to do this route because there'll be more viable routes within the EU or, the rest of the EEA. This is from Kieran, the courier, the van driver, saying, if you wanted to see what Brexit has done to all the incoming commercial traffic, this the Calais port now. Queues for miles outside the port to get in, hours of waiting. I hate this. Ish. Massive queue there, and it's scary to see how big the queue is behind him. Rod McKenzie, kind of a guy we've spoken about a ton, of the Road Haulage Association, said he hoped the teething problems at the border could be worked out as firms adjust to new requirements. It's patchy. If there are trucks held up because they don't have the right codes, it creates a backlog. And the codes, not having the right codes could be down to the IT systems not even working. On the problem with the IT systems, he added, whenever there is a new system, we see people struggle with it at first, which is normal. People always struggle with IT systems at first, especially government ones, especially British government ones, because they suck. There's friction, but then they adjust. We still don't know how quickly those drivers and businesses in the EU will adjust, or just say, no, we ain't doing it. It's just taking too long. It's pointless. Our drivers are stuck in the UK for who knows how long, losing money, losing time, and just, affecting their mental health if you're just stuck in a border facility for days on end, especially given how crappy UK facilities are. EU facilities are much better. The places they can eat, the places they can sit down to sleep are far better. The lorry parks are far better than the ones in the UK. The port's chief executive, Doug Bannister, said the failure to provide enough lateral flow tests was causing the congestion, despite the government's scheme to give 100,000 key workers daily tests. We've run out of tests. That's how prepared the England are, to the point where we've had to borrow them from Wales. You've got a HMRC spokesperson saying indications since the 1st of January are that traders and hauliers are adapting very well to these changes. The problem is, spokesperson, is that if the IT system doesn't work, right, if the codes don't work because the IT system is at fault, it doesn't matter how well these people, these hauliers, these companies adjust, because there's nothing they can do, because this is on you, pal. And where their issues are arising, we're working quickly to provide a solution. No, you're not, though. That's why they're stuck in inland border facilities for ages, for hours on end, because you're not solving the issues. You're not doing your jobs properly, and to an extent you can't, because you're understaffed. That seems to be the clear indication of this article. You don't have the staff to deal with the problems. Honestly, guys, or people, should I say, be gender friendly, people, audience, this is a mess, absolute mess, a nightmare, and it's only going to get worse in July, because that's when the physical inspections happen. That's when costs are going to go higher and time is going to take longer. And yeah, so I don't know what more to say apart from, let me know what you think in the comments below. No doubt that if you're an import and if you're an export and you have problems, probably best to contact an expert. They might be able to help you. No doubt Dr. Anna Jailzeska will give some free advice, and so will Michael M, and the other people of Trade Twitter will give some advice out on what to do here, but you're probably best off contacting them and asking for specialist advice, or any of these haulage companies, because it's only going to get worse. Or if you're going to stop exporting to the UK, let me know, or should I say GB, let me know in the comments. If you are a trade person in the EU, if you are an exporter in the EU who trades with Great Britain, what are you going to do in the future? It's going to be quite interesting. I have seen a couple of people, exporters that live in the UK, who've said like they've had some dry runs with certain things before export checks happened. But they're a bit nervous. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and yeah, subscribe for more chaos. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there. Patreon, all the good stuff. See you next time.